Hey, it says we're live on Facebook. Welcome to our first Chart-o-thon. Tonight we have two of our quantum human design practitioners, Clements and Elaine Correia, are going to be taking questions that were pre-submitted so that we have charts. And tonight our focus is on type and strategy, the foundations for all human design. So I'm going to be your moderator. I'm Cindy. I'm going to turn my video off and I'll be sharing the screen so you can see the chart and the question that Amber or Elaine are going to be answering. And they have a time limit. So this could be a challenge. I mean, Amber is a reflector and Elaine is a projector. So I'm going to also be their timekeeper. So you might be hearing gentle ding if they start going long. But ladies, are you ready?
Absolutely.
I'm going to share my screen. And our first question that was submitted is Sydney Wallach. I noticed my attention span motivation is very limited and comes in waves. When it comes to deadlines or goals, I find it hard for me to stay on track. Now I'm feeling really motivated to work on my website instead of writing like I had planned the night before. So I've adjusted to make decisions based on the pulse I'm feeling day to day. Could my body be speaking to me about something? How does this relate to being a manifester? And is there a way to optimize my productivity with deadlines in place? And Amber, you were going to take this one?
Sure, absolutely, Cindy. Hi, Sydney. Great question, and a very simple answer to that is absolutely, your body is talking to you. As a manifester, you don't have that traditional, that sacral energy to be able to go like the lovely generator types. So really do listen into when you've got the pulse to be able to do things, and we go with the flow as much as you can. Try and structure your whole business and your work around your energy. So when you've got the energy to do, and obviously you've got that defined spleen there as well, so you'll have pulses to do as well. So get in there and do what feels right at the time. And then when the pulse is off, make sure you give yourself lots of rest and restoration. Otherwise, you're going to burn yourself out if you kind of keep pushing and you don't give yourself that time to really just step back and take time out. But you absolutely listen to your body. Try and get out of the head and really sink into what's the body telling you, what does the body want, and go with the flow in regards to where you feel the pulses to do and what feels right to do in the moment.
Thank you. Our next question comes from Julia Wojnar. I'm sorry about the last. My question is, as a projector, how can I follow my strategy of waiting for the invitation for work if I need to make money right away? And is it okay if I have others do outreach for me instead of me doing it myself? Elaine, are you ready for this one?
Sure. Okay, so as a projector, you do have to wait for an invitation, but that doesn't mean you sit by and twiddle your thumbs. So if you do need to go out and, make some money to bring in, to pay your bills, you can do that. You just need to look for a job that will support you in the best way with the ebbs and flow of your energy. And yes, you can certainly have other people go out and advocate for you. I do that as much as I can. But then you have to, as a projector, you have to be very discerning about your energy and the energy that you're going to need to expend for whatever it is you're going to do. So when the invitations come back, you have to look at them and take a good look at them and see is this going to support me? Is this going to take me in the direction I want to go? Or is this going to burn up more energy than I'm going to, then is going to nurture me? So, so yes to both parts of your question. And you have a lot of openness in your chart. So, it's going to be, you're going to be taking in a lot of other people's energy. And that's another area where you really got to manage your own energy. So the more alone time you can have to sort out who is you and who is everyone else, that will also really benefit you, and it will also help sustain your energy.
Thank you, Elaine. Our next question comes from Cara Glenn. I'm a generator with a profile 1-3. My question is, what is most crucial attitude I need for success? Amber?
Sure, Cara, great question. You've got the sacral energy center there. So what you really need to do is just really make sure you're responding. Make sure whatever you do, you're responding. That juicy aha or response to everything. When you really go with the ahas and you follow that gut response, you'll follow in the line of success. It'll take you where you need to go. But you really need to trust. You really need to trust in abundance. You need to trust in source and trust that the right things will come for you to respond to. If you kind of get stuck in your head and you've got an open head again there, that can really, you might try and overthink things and try and push things through. That's when sometimes you'll find that you'll come up against walls and blockages, and you won't necessarily be going in the direction that feels the most juicy and flowing for you. So really sink in. Listen to your gut response. I noticed that you're a 1-3 profile, which is what I am as well. And that means you like to investigate and try things out. So get in there, try things out, look into things. The more you look in and try out, the more you'll get an opportunity to respond. And the more you'll get to see what feels right for you in the body, in the gut. I would say that's probably the best attitude to have, just to really respond and to trust in source, and to stay out of being frustrated and go with the flow as much as you can with what opportunities and things come up for you in your external environment. Thanks, Cindy.
Thank you. Going to Linda Bard. Oh, Elaine, you appear to be getting the projectors. As a mental projector with a right angle cross of 4 ways, what is my optimum strategy approach to resonate with all the manifesting generators I'm designed to help?
Okay, well, that's interesting because I've got the same cross. Manifesting generators and projectors is a very interesting combination because they're almost like polar opposites. You know, the projector has energy that goes in ebbs and flows, although they can sure borrow other people's energies, and you have so much openness in your chart that you're going to be borrowing a lot of energy. And then manifesting generators, the ones that I know that are around me anyway, they're just like full steam ahead. And for me to be around them, I can only be around them for little bits of time because they have so much energy that they focus into whatever it is they're doing in their 10 different directions that that they burn me out. I have to go away and rest for a while. So I would suggest, I'd like to invite you to to explore the idea that, especially since you're a 1-3, that as you engage with manifesting generators, you pay really close attention to yourself, and you pay attention to what you want to accomplish in that relationship, because you can borrow their energy and you can get a whole ton of things done. But then you better be sure and allow yourself time to go take a break and just chill out. I mean, just go away from everybody and just chill out. And that way, when you do that, you won't burn yourself out, and you'll be able to just relate with them a lot easier. I hope that makes sense to you.
Thank you, Elaine. You guys are doing really well. I haven't had the gentle ding once yet. Karen Wilson, I'm a manifesting generator. Why am I feeling so alien at this time? Amber?
Oh, good question. Well, without knowing your situation and where you live and what have you, I imagine possibly at the moment, if you're not able to really use that energy up, if you're somewhere where perhaps you're isolated, or you're having to stay home, or not being able to get out in the world as much as you might normally do and need to, you might not be burning your energy enough. You've got that wonderful responsive power channel there that really means you've got a lot of energy to use. You've got a lot of power, and you need to be using that power and charisma. If you're playing small or you're feeling stuck where you're not able to burn that energy every day and really utilize that power and that strength, it can really easily lead to feeling kind of out of whack, out of sorts. You're a manifesting generator, so you're really here to bring things into form, to use that sacral energy up. So without knowing, again, your situation, as I said, it's really hard to know if that's what your situation and that's what might be allowing you to feel alien. But certainly I know that a lot of my manifesting generator clients that I've worked with at the moment, if they're in a situation where they're being stuck and they're not able to get out, they're really feeling frustrated. They're really feeling kind of out of whack. So my suggestion to you, no matter what situation you're in, make sure you're utilizing that energy up. Make sure you're doing what you can. Find ways to burn your energy. Find ways to really get in the flow of utilizing that wonderful manifesting power that you have. Yeah. Thanks, Cindy.
Thank you, Amber. Elaine, Maya is going to. Mila Lila DeVento. What exactly are projectors supposed to be doing while waiting for an invitation? Studying, creating art, content?
Yes, you can do all of those things. The main thing to do while you're waiting is have fun, because there's something about the projector energy which is different than the other, the generator type energy, that, oh, I don't know quite how to say it exactly, but it's like when you're having fun, it's like, I don't know, maybe we got bigger auras. I don't know what it is, but when we're having fun, people notice it and they get curious and they want to have a little taste of that. So do whatever it is. If you love to study, find something you really love to study, or if you want to get a hobby, just, read, whatever it is, you just, do things that really fill you with joy. And then if you're like trying to build a business or something like that, go ahead and get all the little ducks in the row. Get your content written and get your website up and all those little details that you want to do, so that when the timing is right, because the other part of projector, the projector role is timing, because the whole energy thing is a real trick, it's like you have to, and you've got the root, you've got a root, so you've got a pulse there. So when the timing is right, you're going to feel the surge to go take action and do what you're supposed to do. But in the meantime, just fill yourself up with and nurture yourself with all the things that fill you with joy. And you'll know when the right timing, or you'll know when the right invitation comes along, because it'll just open up your whole essence. You'll just totally expand. So,
well, yeah. Elaine, you did such a great job that I'm actually gonna put you and Amber on the spot right now. So if we have someone that's brand new to human design,
okay,
what about, and I'll point, but what about the chart makes a projector a projector?
Oh, okay. Okay, second little box from the bottom, it's white. It's not colored in. And what that means is that center is open, which means, well, okay, I got to back up. All the colored centers, all the colored boxes or diamonds and boxes, or I should say triangles of boxes, mean that there is a definition, or there is like a sustainable, consistent way that energy in that particular center expresses. And so it's something you just do automatically. You don't have to do anything. It's just there. All the places that are open, that are uncolored, they're considered open. And so all the places where that's white in the chart is places that you take in energy from other people. And so for Maya, she's got an open throat, and she also has the open sacral. So that means that, you know, like she's taking in other people's life force energies. The sacral center is for the center for doing, and, you know, it's like your life force. It's your physical, the physical energy that you have. And
Elaine,
so,
before we go too deep, is
okay,
that because centers, that's our next chart-a-thon, but
okay,
on a projector, it's what you first mentioned. They have an open
yeah,
with the sacral, and their strategy, most people would see their strategy when they got their chart like this,
right,
but they're waiting for recognition or the invitation. And that's why
right,
a lot of the projector questions are, well, what is the invitation?
right.
And thank you. You were giving a great example. It's just when you started going on the throat, I'm like, oh, you're taking away what
Yep.
next week's questions will be.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, you get me going down a rabbit hole. I'll go all the way. So,
But thank you for explaining. I mean, if I didn't say it at the beginning, Elaine is a projector and Amber is a reflector. And oh, Amber, you get a projector.
I do, which I'm a reflector. So a reflector means every single center is open. So I'm very lucky. I get to absorb everything. There's only 1% of us, and we don't have any reflector questions today, which is a shame. But anyway, so the next one, are we going to pop the next question up, Janet? Sorry, I'm not Janet, Cindy.
Yeah, yes, the next question. Janet,
Janet next.
supposed to wait for an invitation, and according to Karen, this is about big invitations or the big decisions. However, when it comes to my coaching practice, what does this mean? What is a big decision? Am I supposed to wait for an invitation to start a
and
space for an invitation to offer some new classes? Pardon me?
Sorry, would you be able to pop the question up? We just can't see it.
Oh, you can't see it?
No.
Okay, let me stop share and share again.
So it always helps.
Can you see the question now?
You can, yes.
Okay. So would you like me, I'll wait for an invitation to start a podcast. Are these types of things in line with big decisions? If not, what would a big decision in a person's business? I know if this looks like a number of questions, but it's actually just one. What is the definition of a big decision business-wise that I need to wait for an invitation?
Look, that's a very, very good question, isn't it? Look, a big decision is, there's three categories, I guess, of big decisions that really help to wait for the invitation for. And the first one is around work and any kind of work opportunities around your business and things to do with work. The second area is around your relationships, friendships, any sort of relationships, really. Entering into those correctly, waiting for an invitation to those. And the third area is in where to live. So it's those big parts of your life. You certainly don't need to wait for invitations to everything. You know, you wouldn't be able to do anything if you were waiting for an invitation to eat or to do anything in everyday life. The thing is, and what's key is once you've entered into something correctly, so if what you're doing at the moment, the work that you're working in at the moment, business-wise, was entered correctly, so you received an invitation for that work, and that invitation obviously doesn't need to be just a formal kind of invitation written out. It can be an opportunity presented to you, which you can then respond to. If you receive an invitation in the correct way and you respond to that as a, yes, this is something I want to do, and then you enter that business, for example, in that correct way, then anything you do within the business, the small day-to-day decisions about starting a Facebook group and those sorts of things, you really don't need to wait for invitations for those to happen. Once you've entered it correctly, you can do the things within that opportunity, certainly without having to wait for invitations. You've kind of had permission then to kind of get going on it. I would imagine though, if in your business you had a big opportunity to perhaps move locations, maybe move into a different state or move the business somewhere else where it's involving one of those big questions, or start an opportunity with a new colleague in the business side of things, or a new work collaboration, that might be something you need to wait for an invitation to. Elaine, did I cover that? Did I miss anything?
No, you did a good job. Yeah.
Just We've got a projector in the room, so I want to make sure that I'm haven't missed any bits. Wonderful.
Thank you. Okay. Elaine, this is for Cecilia Jung. My question is how I can best use my emotional authority. I still pick up a lot of external feelings, even though I have an emotionally defined center. And can you
Yeah, I can see.
tell the group what Cecilia's type is?
Okay, it looks like she's a generator.
Mm.
It's a manifesting generator? Oh, okay. Oh, I see. From the will to the spleen to the death. Okay. The long way to being a manifesting generator. So, so at any rate, Cecilia, that's a real tricky question because, I mean, or I should say it's kind of a little bit of a dilemma because, as with the spleen defined, typically you would have a more consistent way you relate to people or to your emotions. But that doesn't mean that you still don't pick up other people's emotions, and you have a lot of openness, in your head and your up on top, and although you are pretty well defined all the rest of the way, but there's so you will be picking up other people's ideas. So I would like to suggest that to pay more maybe to pay more attention to your body. For one thing, with the emotional center, you are going to have waves. So there's going to be times when you feel really optimistic about things and times when you're kind of not quite so sure, maybe a little more melancholy. So, but as far as to try and sort out, what is your emotions and what is someone else's emotions, even though that is defined, you're still picking them up just because you're probably very empathic, for one thing. And I would suggest, I invite you to, explore this idea of another 1-3 again, of, listening to your sacral responses as opposed to, so in other words, the question to ask is when you're picking up some energies, whose energy is this? And if it's someone else's, then you figure out a way to release that. The other thing is to pay more attention to your body, because you do have the gate in there that is very connected to the body, the gate 46, and notice how your body responds, and maybe you'll be able to sort out. You could experiment, and you can see if you can sort out a more precise, unique way for you to sort out what's going on with, picking up other people's energy and being able to wait for the right timing and wait for the response over time to know whether this is the right decision for you. And so there's a factor of waiting that's involved, waiting to see if the emotion stays the same over a period of time. And then you've got the sacral response. So you've got that way to validate whether this is the right decision or not, and to respond to it. So you've actually got, and you've got the splenic response, which is more of an instantaneous gut response. So you've actually got a lot of aspects that you can, that you can use to help sort out whose energy are you taking in. I hope that, yeah.
Well, so what you're saying, I'm just going to reframe it, is with her emotional response, that's kind of what she's doing is first she should be listening, because as a manifesting generator with the sacral, what you were saying, people should ask her yes, no questions.
Right.
So that she can start getting, and can you tell us why a manifesting generator, a generator needs yes, no questions? They're supposed to.
Well, it's like an instant gut response, and it bypasses all the other. It bypasses your head. It bypasses your feelings. It's just like a gut response. It's instant, and it's once you tune into how it works, then it's great. It's a great way. Somebody asks you if you want to go to dinner, you go, uh-huh, or uh-uh. I mean, it's that quick.
That's what I was looking for. And so, but she's looking for clarity on her
Yeah.
so it's not clarity, but
Right.
she
So
has the same answer throughout her emotional way.
yeah, that's the key is to see if it's the same answer throughout the emotional wave.
Cool. Well,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, Amber, Carissa Crosdale. My question is, how do I live in a to respond state? Is it being asked a question or invitation, or can it be my own response to something I would like to do? And how does this apply to business and life as a manifesting generator with lots of ideas?
Okay, lots of questions in that one, but I think we follow on from the last question about manifesting generators, and it really is about finding the gut response to everything, anything in the day. You know, do you want to go down to the park? Uh-huh. Do I want to eat a hamburger for lunch? Uh-huh. Do I want to go and start? So it's all about finding a response in your gut, listening to your gut, asking yes/no questions, or getting other people to ask you yes/no questions for things to start to tune into that gut response. I think at first, sometimes people are confused about what that might be, because particularly with an open head, and you can see you've got a completely open head center, you might find, and an ajna as well open, you might find that you've got lots of thinking going on, lots of ideas and things coming on, and we can very easily get stuck in or not tell the difference between a thought and a gut instinct. And so what really helps is to drop into that guttural response, is to get someone to ask you a couple of questions, really basic ones. Is the sky blue? Am I a female? Do I like swimming? Do you think you should take this job? You know, as you're starting to go, it should come out straight away, particularly for you, because you're a manifesting generator with a pure sacral response, and you've got that wonderful channel 3420 going on there, which is responsive power. You should find that your response to things comes instantaneously. In fact, so quickly that sometimes you might not realize that you're actually responding. Like it's actually a guttural response, because it should be instantaneous. I think what's a bit of a clue is if something presents itself to you, it could be a question, it could be anything, it could be an opportunity, it could be you see a book that you like, it could be a number of things. If you start to go into your head to think about whether something's right or wrong for you, then that's not using your gut response. You should know when it's a yes or no. You'll see something go, oh yeah, a hell yeah, if you want, or a hell no. So try and play with that and tune into that. And it's the same with everything: business, work, personal life, day-to-day life, to try and tune in and practice, you know, that listening and hearing the difference between what's coming from the body in the gut and what is just a thought ticking over in your head that you think you're responding to. You
guys are so good at timing yourself. Haven't had to come in gentle big yet. Okay, so this one, Elaine didn't have a chart. Jenny Simon says she's a manifesting generator with emotional authority. My question is, why do I seem to have so much difficulty just getting things done? Between step 1 and 2 always seems to have substeps of A through Z. Ugh.
Oh, that's a good question, Jenny. Okay, as a manifesting generator, my experience with them is that they they just blow through the details. They're just, full steam ahead. So because I don't see the rest of your, you don't have chart, I don't know what other factors are playing out in your chart that may be affecting, you may have you may have details, you may have the gate of perfection or something in your chart that's making you slow down and try to perfect things rather than just going through and let's get the job done and let somebody else pick up the details. I mean, that's been my experience with manifesting generators for the most part. Some are more dramatic than others, but anyway, The other thing I might ask is if there are other factors that are affecting you. So you have an emotional authority, which means that you have times when your energy is high, you're like on top of the world, everything feels great. And other times when you're down there, just kind of where you draw back into yourself, and you have times where you're more introspective, and maybe that is what, maybe that's what's causing these subsets, is that you go into this other part of your wave, and you have to think about it for a while, or you have to, take care of all these things, or you may have something like responsibility in your chart that, you think you have to do all these things because you're going to let somebody down. I mean, there's a lot of other factors that could play into why you're having so much trouble getting things done. One of them is, maybe you've got too much energy running around, or maybe you're taking in too much of other people's energies. See, without your chart, I can't tell. I can't really, I'm just throwing out possibilities, but you're taking in too many people's energies and they're scattering you. So you lose your focus, or you've got too much raw energy that's just looking for a way out, and it's just running you in 20 different directions instead of 10. So if you were to focus, on just trying to do one thing or two or three things, manifesting generators like to have a lot of irons in the fire. That may help be able to take you from one point to the other. Or the other possibility, if you have the gate 48, you're going to be bogged down in, you need to learn more. You need to do this, need to do that. There's more steps that have to be done because I'm not ready to finish it. So, I mean, without seeing your chart, it's hard to really know how to answer this really effectively, but I hope this gives you some ideas.
Thank you, Elaine. Amber. Jess Sweeney. What would some optimal careers be for my type? I need to start over career-wise and not sure what to do.
Very good. The golden question. What to do? Look, as a generator, I'd like to say that you could pretty much do anything. And when I say anything, I mean you're built to do something. You're here to do work that you love. You're here to master something. So my first advice would be find something that brings you joy. Find something that you love to do. And if you can't make that thing you love to do your full-time job, you could always find something that you're good at that you can do for earning an income whilst you're also doing something that you love to do as part of your lifestyle. So what's really key is making sure that you really find something you enjoy doing. Don't take on work because you think it's the right thing to do. Again, it's that old trap, open head, of getting into thinking what's the right thing that you should be doing as opposed to what feels right for you. Just looking briefly at your chart with the gate 46, the love of the body, people with the gate 46 often like to do things that utilize their body. So that could be a dancer, yoga, an athlete, a whole number of things. But the love of the body is something that might be an area that you're particularly interested in looking into. But as far as an optimal career, really, it's really about what you find that brings you the most joy. And making sure that you don't push yourself into a career or a job choice that is not coming from a place of response. So what I would personally do is ask the question, ask the universe, if you like, what's the right move career-wise for me now? Just ask the question, put it out there, and then see what shows up. See what shows up in your outer reality, opportunities that you can respond to, things that come in, things that you see, and then feeling your body with a gut response. What is it that feels right for you to take a leap into? So sort of get out of the heads, get out of trying to overthink it, because when we try to over-workshop things in our head and overthink things, we do tend to fall into the trap of going down the mind's desire for things rather than what's really right for us in our body as a response to our external environment. That would be my advice.
Well, thank you. Before we go on to the next person, I was just wondering if you could Because now we have a generator, and we've had a lot of manifesting generators, we've had a lot of projectors. What's the difference, or how would someone be able to tell just by looking at the chart that they're a generator instead of the manifesting generator? What's the big difference?
Very good question. So a generator has that sacral center colored in, so that's defined, turned on, and they have a throat. So that's what makes anybody a generator type. As soon as they've got that center defined, they're a generator. To make them a manifesting generator, they need to have the throat center also defined. So that's the center here. And that throat center needs to be connected to one of the four motors. And the four motors, Cindy's pointing them out now. There's the will center, there's the emotional solar plexus center, there's obviously the sacral center, and then there's the root center. And they can come up through the G as center as well as a connection if the channels go up through the G2 or even through the spleen. If any of those four motors have channels that you could sort of trace with your finger up to the throat, that would make them a manifesting generator rather than just a pure generator type.
Thank you. I keep putting you guys on the spot. Paige Spears, generator strategy. Which aspects of my chart create challenges in discerning a clear sacral response? Now that I have an idea of how money wants to show up in my life, I have an experience of oversubscribing to lists and events, too many choices of actions, and insufficient space to receive guidance. Elaine.
Good question, Paige. So, okay, so let's see. So your question is actually how to be more discerning in a clear sacral response. So we have talked about the sacral response and that gut feeling, but to think about oversubscribing to lists and stuff, maybe what you might want to do is when you have the opportunity to subscribe to a list or an event or take a class or all those different things that make life so much fun. Take advantage of that sacral response. And if you can't, if you can't ask it yourself, I mean, it's hard to ask yourself a question, but what you can do is you can write down a list of questions to ask yourself, or you could get someone else to ask you, should I sign up for, should you sign up for this list that's from, whatever it is, or do you want to go to this event, and then let your sacral response guide you, and that will help weed out a bunch of the extra things, because you're saying you don't have any space now to listen to yourself. And with all the openness that you have in your chart, you're going to be taking in a lot of other people's energies, and so that in itself can be very distracting. And so I really highly encourage you to listen to your gut response. You have a splenic response, that's your authority, and then which is more of an instinctive, like a gut instant response. And then you have the sacral response, which is the and we've talked about that quite a bit earlier. So I would suggest that, and as far as even with the lists that you have, go back through them and just you say, well, is this serving me? And then, you can subscribe or unsubscribe. So I hope that helps give you a little guidance in that direction.
Thank you, Elaine.
Yeah.
Okay, Fiona Croskill. I'm a 74-year-old projector who seems to have stalled for quite a while. Am I not meant to be orchestrating anymore? Does our purpose run out in our autumn years, or can we complete what we came to do before the end, or start anew?
I love this question. And Elaine, you might want to also add on to this one, because I'm sure you have a lot to offer as a projector. But when I first saw that, I thought, no, please don't think your purpose runs out. You've got as many years as you're here to live and to live your purpose, you've got to live and live your purpose. You really aren't. Things don't turn off, if you like. I guess for me, and I've known some projectors, and as they've gotten older, felt really disempowered or really kind of let down. But again, it's about tapping in and tuning in and waiting for invitations. I know that waiting for an invitation to something that's the right things for you can feel like it takes a long time, can feel really unfair when you see other things happening more quickly, I guess, for other types, because they tend to get things to respond to and then they can get on, and you've got to wait for this invitation that doesn't come around every day. And I think that's probably part of the frustration or bitterness that forms for a projector by having to wait sometimes. But for me, it's, you've got this wonderful life experience. You're here to guide others. You're here to offer your wisdom and share what you know and help guide other people in the right direction. So I can imagine you've got probably a wealth of information that you can share and impart on others if you're using that correctly. It's really about making sure, though, there's the right people in place. Remember, projectors aren't necessarily here for everyone. You've got your people that when they invite you, when they recognize you, they really want to hear what you have to say. They really want to be part of your posse, if you like, to be able to share that wonderful wisdom and guidance that you've got. But I really feel like I want to throw this one to Elaine, because I feel like you've got something you might want to share or offer on that as well. Am I?
Sure. Yeah, you did a great job, Amber. But yeah, I will add a couple things. One thing is a projector's work is never done. So one of the things that you might be dealing with by this sense of feeling stalled is that you may be experiencing a little burnout, and you've got to recharge. You've got to just nurture yourself to recharge that. But the other thing I wanted to mention is the projector's work is never done, because we have a full-time job in the non-physical world, taking care of the planetary energies and the planetary grid and all that. People don't see it, but that's our real job. That's our full-time job. And our life in this outer world is that's just more so people can know that we're still here, But the other thing I'd like to really suggest to you, because is in your, don't give up, don't, your work is you never run out of your purpose. Your purpose is always here, and it will, it'll be here until the day you die. And, and you're here to bring answers, some creative, crazy answers that are totally innovative. And so, so just enjoy yourself and just see what comes. Just allow yourself to see what comes to you, and enjoy what you have. Do things that are fun, but know that you're working full time in the other world.
Well, thank you both, Amber and Elaine, on that. Elaine, Kirsty Lunn, as a manifester, I'm supposed to initiate. The interesting thing is, I rarely do. I feel myself in a numbness state, doing the same safe routines day by day with no conscious feeling of what I really want. If I know what I want, I usually take action. How can I get more in touch with what is important to me?
That's a really good question. And it's a really, it can be really challenging for people to get in touch with what is most important for their individual life. And you've got a lot of definitions. So there's it's real easy for you to be consistent in a lot of things and to, follow into the same pattern. Also, I'm going to get a little out of the particular theme for this week, but I want to talk to you a little bit about, your sun energies, because, and this may be what is happening to make you feel slowed down or not taking action, is you've got the gate of rationalization in your conscious sun. And so, so it's real easy to say, oh, well, I'm doing just fine like this. I don't need to go do anything else right now. You know, I mean, it'll take care of itself. Or, I mean, it's really easy to let that rationalization undermine you. And then in your earth, both sides of your earth have to do with the past. And it's really easy to, you know, the past is a blessing. It's gives you the tools and the wisdom you need to move forward. But on the flip side, it can slow you down because you don't want to make those same mistakes again, or you don't want to repeat those same patterns again. So you put yourself in a holding pattern. So I don't know if this is if this gives you the information that you want, but I'm just throwing that out there as a possibility for why you're having trouble moving ahead. And then I would love to suggest to you that the way to get in touch with what is important to you is to take time alone and to, you know, actually get away from others and take time alone and really, really get to know yourself as a wonderful person that you are. And, you know, think of all the things that you enjoy doing. And I mean, just become friends with yourself. And you've got the, you've got the gate of intuition there. So you listen to your intuition and just allow yourself to be inspired. And because you have a defined head and ajna, you know, but you do have the gates off the head for inspiration, for seeing the big picture. So just allow yourself to be inspired, and that will help you get in touch with what's more important. And then, you know, as the manifester, you know, use your intuition, use your other ways that you have of knowing what is the right decision to move forward. So I hope that helps.
Well, thank you, Elaine. Now, we hadn't shown what makes a manifester. We've done manifesting generator, projector, and Amber told us what makes a reflector, all that openness. But what would make this person a manifester?
Okay, well, the first thing to look at is the Sacral Center, and that is open. So with that open, then you look to see if there is how the throat is defined. So she happens to have a channel that runs from the will center to the throat, and the will is one of the motors that gives energy to the throat. And so if a person has a channel with the sacral open and a channel from the root, the solar plexus or the will to the throat, then that's what defines a manifester.
Thank you. Amber, Carmen Seardini. I'm a splenic projector with a lot of openness in my chart. How to stay focused on track. I get distracted a lot and start multiple projects, but not follow through.
I can even relate to this one. Look, as a projector, remember those people that don't have the sacral center defined, so we've got that open sacral center there, we don't have the energy to have sustainable work and keep going and doing things the way that generators can. I like to think about the generators as like an energizer bunny with an energizer or battery that just keeps going and going. We don't have that. So depending on what we're tapping into and why we're starting certain projects and starting certain things, we don't necessarily have the energy to do and to keep doing everything. So that might be why you start something and then you lose that energy flow. And that's okay. Look, don't beat yourself up if you don't finish everything you get started. We're not here to work in the same way and to do things in the same way as other types. What I think is really important here is just really make sure that the big things, the important things that you're trying to work on, so things that are work related to those three big decisions around work, around relationships, and around where you live and where your location, your physical location of where you are. those things, make sure that you're entering them correctly, because if you're not waiting for an invitation and you're just sort of deep diving or jumping into something, it's a good chance it's not right for you anyway. So you'll get going on something and you'll lose the energy for it. It doesn't feel right. Your body isn't reacting to it the way it needs to, and therefore those things might drop away and slip away. The things that are right for you, that you're responding to correctly, you should have a little bit more of a gusto to be able to carry them through. But saying that, what are the projects? Are they involving lots of activity? Because if you've got to do things, if you're expecting a lot of yourself, it might be useful to try and look to people around you in your life that can help support you. As a projector, you don't have that energy to keep doing everything yourself. It's really important to get people to help you out with things. Get other people to initiate things for you. Get other people to do things for you, and be the guide around those particular projects if, again, they're right for you. You're a splenic projector, so you've got that splenic intuitive sense around when you receive those invitations, what feels right for you in that moment. But as far as getting and doing too much, we're just simply not designed to do when you've got an open sacral. So I think it's important that you try and use your patience with that gate 20. You've got the ability to be patient. So sometimes it might be best just to take a step back, to stop pushing and trying to do with your will center there. You might tend to kind of push a little bit to get on and to achieve. And I can tell you now, by not doing that, by stepping back where you can and waiting and allowing and having that patience and using that gate 47 that you've got around mindset, which is you can be as busy or as frustrated or as whatever you think you are. So basically, it's your mindset. You change your mindset, you'll be able to change how you receive and how you work with those energies and those projects that come in, or those opportunities and invitations that come to you. So I think it's just really important to not to push if you can, and try to take on the right opportunities as they come as invitations, rather than kind of just wear yourself out trying to get everything done. We're just not designed that way.
Thank you, Amber. Sorry, I had to clear my throat. Elaine, Sonia Lau. My question is, how do I follow my strategy? I kind of get it, but then doubt that I do. Over the last few years, I have been developing my own way of quantum healing. But when it comes to changing out the earning of my money through low-paid shop work to client-focused healing work, I struggle with wording and the ways of advertising, letting people know what I do in a way that actually brings across the frequency of me and how I work. I'm guessing I'm not fully following my strategy because I'm not understanding it as fully as I thought.
That's a good question, Sonia. So, you do have, you are following your strategy, when you respond to things. So so it sounds like you want to develop your own way of doing things. Let me see, you are a 1-3, an experimenter again. That's great. Okay. So, you're trying to shift your business from, what you were doing to what you want to go. And so, of course, that raises a lot of questions, and it can also raise a lot of doubt, which you do, it's a hanging gate for you in the head, which will it'd be, it's real easy to get caught up in doubt because you want the answer, but the answer is not there. So when the answer is not there, then, then you doubt it. And so, and then because you have an open root down there, you're going to feel a lot of pressure that, oh, I got to get all this done. And it's really easy to let your head override your sacral response. And because, that is your primary way that you go about making decisions, it's important to really develop a relationship with that, your sacral response, the or and then once you understand that, then you will also be able to, guide yourself, as you move ahead in changing your business structure. Another thing I'd like to throw out there, just as for something for you to think about and explore, is that because you mentioned you're trying to figure out, you don't think you're trying to figure out how to advertise yourself and, way of getting across who you are. And I would suggest that you focus a little more on body. There's a disconnect between the head and the ajna and the throat. So it's harder for your ideas to get to your throat. So maybe if you have a friend who can help link up those two centers with their chart, then they can help you find the wording and the marketing skill. You do have a lot of raw energy, and so you're very powerful, and your energy is people are going to feel your energy. Well, I won't get involved in all the other details of what you can do and how you can say. That's for another time. But just know that, the focus here is to work on getting really, really, really comfortable with that sacral response, because that will give you guidance and it'll help you overcome the doubt.
Okay,
So, thank you.
And I'm just wondering, Karen has mentioned before that manifesting generators who have the 3420 might have their sacral response might not come out as
Right.
Is that
Yeah,
true? Can you explain that?
Yeah, she's talked about that a lot because it's a different response. It's so fast that they will come out with a yes or no. You'll instantly, I mean, so in other words, if someone asks you a question, just answer yes or no, because you got to channel straight to your throat. And it starts out with the most powerful channel in the chart. So it's just the energy is going to go whoosh. So so play with that, experiment with it, see what works the best for you. I mean, is it a gut response that comes from deep within you, or is it something that just goes poof out your throat and you speak it without even, the trick is don't think about it. That's the whole trick to the sacral responses. Don't think about it. Let your body respond.
Thank you, Elaine.
Yeah.
For clearing that up. Amber, Tracy Sue, another no chart. I would love real world examples of things a generator or manifesting generator can, should, is responding to or shouldn't. And what is the difference between using muscle testing versus the verbal gut grunt to determine a yes or no response? How do you get into that habit? How do you know if you're doing it correctly? And finally, how does a pure sacral response differ from someone who has emotional authority? Lots of questions there, Amber.
But I think we covered some of that, or Elaine just covered that again, and I think we've gone through it a couple of times, but I'll continue through, because I think it's important. The response absolutely has to come from in the body as a sacral response in the moment. Now, I'll give you an example. My husband is a generator, and when he's actually deciding on having to take a new job at the moment. So when I ask him some questions and I say, what do you think you should do? Or does this job feel right for you? And he starts to go, well, and he starts to, you can see the mind ticking over, and he'll start to reason, well, this job is giving me this. And as soon as all of that decision making goes to the head and he's trying to logically process the decision, I know that he's not in his gut, using his gut response. So that's when I'll say to him, okay, let's do some sacral work here. And I'll say to him, did you enjoy lunch today? And he'll say, uh-huh, or do you like me? Hopefully he says, uh-huh. And I try a few questions first. And then I say, do you think you should take that job? And he'll, it'll come straight out, because what he's done, it's like you're asking someone questions and they get practice saying, and he should be able to start to feel it in his body. And so when you're asking that big question about that thing you really want to know about, it should just come out rather than him go straight to the head. So, and that's just following on again from what Elaine was saying. Really try not to go into your head. As soon as you are logically processing something, it's not in your gut. I don't know. I mean, I know what muscle testing is, but I haven't really had much to do with it. So I can't really say that is this versus this. But what's really important is just feeling it in the body. If you've got that responsive power channel that Elaine was talking about with the last chart, then you might not have that but you'll feel it. Your body will respond to it. You'll go for it. You'll lean into it. You'll have a physical response to something. And so that's where it's really important to pay attention to that gut, get out of the head. How do you know if you're doing it correctly? Again, you'll feel it. You'll not be in your head. But again, I think we've covered this before, but emotional authority means that you've got an emotional wave. And so when you're having that guttural response, that feeling in the body, in the gut, you need to make sure you feel the same about that response over the course of your wave. So if you're in an emotional high and you're going, yeah, this feels right. Yes, I want to do that. Make sure you've still got that same yes resonating when you're on that lower end of your wave, when you're feeling maybe not quite on that peak of the wave and you're down in the other end of it. And if you're still getting the same response, then you know that it's right for you. But if that response wavers, if it's a yeah, and then sort of you're feeling on the lower part of your wave and you're like, oh, no, or, there's no clarity there, then it's not the right thing to take on at that time. And maybe you need to wait till you get clear years over your emotional wave, or maybe it's not the right thing to take on. I think I answered all parts. Oh, look, as far as the first part of the question about real world examples, really it's responding to everything. You're always responding. Do I go and visit the zoo today? Do I help my friend do this today? Do I take on this new job? You're responding to all sorts of things that come into your world, opportunities where external things that pop up in your life, you're always responding to, even on a day-to-day basis of things that pop into your head, you're responding to. So you're responding to everything.
Thank you. Scrolling down. Elaine, Helen Ross, I have trouble knowing when to respond. Sometimes things feel right to me to act on something that I haven't received anything from the outside to respond to. Is it okay to just respond to what feels right? However, I've learned to wait at least a couple of days or so to see if I still feel the same way.
Well, Helen, you are very wise to wait. It's a gamble to just respond or just to go with, something that feels right. I mean, I know, a lot of the law of attraction stuff talks about just go with the feeling, but the problem is that what may feel right one day doesn't feel right the next day or a week later, depending on your cycle of, your emotional wave. So, so waiting is the whole game for you, and to see, and like we've talked about a lot, and Amber was talking about the idea, you've got a gut response to something, and then you wait to see if that response stays consistent. So the thing is, there could be a lot more subtle ways that you are receiving things to respond to. For example, let's say you want to take a vacation. It feels really right that you want to go to the beach, and but you haven't been invited. Nobody asked you if you want to go to the beach. I mean, you haven't really had a response, like an opportunity to respond like that. But maybe in your Facebook feed or in your emails, or maybe in the mail, you get a brochure from some resort that's at the beach. So that is a more indirect way to get something to respond to. So I know we've been talking a lot about responding, and a lot of it has been more direct, like if somebody asked you something, but there's other ways that you can receive an external stimulus to respond to as well. And I'd like to invite you to explore that. But the main thing is you've got this wave. So whatever you do, it has to feel right over time. And it looks like you've kind of figured that out since you've learned to wait a few days before you do take action. So that's good. You've got it figured out.
Thank
And then
you,
here
Elaine.
again,
Oh,
he's,
sorry.
she's also, Helen, she's also got the 3420, which is the yes. I mean, I guess you could say rather than the gut response, it's the yes gate. It's like the yes response. So that quick, but just make sure that when you're coming up with these ideas that sound so great, make sure that they're not coming from your head, and make sure that when you're responding, however you respond, is from your body, your gut, or your body. So,
Thank you, Elaine. Amber, MK Piatkowski. I'm going to go with MK. Sorry about that. My question is, I know what my incarnation cross tells me. Thank you for that. I know that I'm a teacher guide, but I'm also a musician writer. I've always believed in not choosing and having it all, but I'm a projector who has limited energy. What can the chart tell me in terms of overarching themes to focus on that energize me rather than exhaust me?
Absolutely, yes, that energy. I think one of the things to be aware of, or to really be cautious of, is that the root center, because you've got that open down the bottom of your chart. That's the pressure to do. And when you've got that open, there's a lot of pressure to feel like you've got to keep doing things. You have almost what feels like a never-ending to-do list. And that can exhaust us. I certainly have that open. And I know for me, if I don't stop and go, oh, hang on, do all of these things need to be done? What's the critical things that I need to achieve? Can I let the others go? Write the list, hide them so I'm not looking at them. That's one of the things that can really exhaust you, because you've got you don't have the pulse that tells you when it's time to rest, when it's time to stop. The sacral center being open means you don't know when enough is enough. So it really does mean that we tend to just keep going and keep doing, and then until one day you suddenly find you can't get out of bed because you're exhausted. So it's really important that you schedule in lots of rest, lots of restoration, lots of downtime, and also because you're a projector, but also because you've got a lot of openness, you're going to be absorbing and amplifying the energy of the people you're around in all of those open centers. So I would suggest, if you're going to spend time with other people, make sure then afterwards you've got time away from them to just sort of download that energy, to let it kind of fall off and let it out, and give yourself a break so that it doesn't overwhelm you. Being around other people can be really exhausting when you're a projector or a reflector, because it's, you're picking up so much from others, and you don't have that ability to utilize that energy and keep going with the sacral center being open. So I would say certainly rest is probably the key thing you can do there, so that then when you get up and you're doing things, you've got the energy to get on. And just make sure that if you're around people that are draining you, you'll start to feel it. You'll still feel unwell, you'll feel exhausted, you'll feel tired. If you're around people where you're feeling vibrant and you're feeling alive and you're feeling great, that's fabulous. Then you're picking up some really good energy on them. So watch your energy where you feel good and where you don't feel great. And when you're feeling exhausted or things aren't feeling good, give yourself a break away from other people, as everybody if you can, and give yourself that downtime to discharge those energies.
Thank you. Elaine, Ainsley, how do I make big life decisions with clarity if my strategy is to respond? I'm thinking about a big career change with schooling involved, and it feels like a big shift. How do I get clear on this path being right for me?
Okay, that's a good question. So we've talked a lot about the sacral response, and it looks like you also have the emotional solar plexus. So as your authority. So so here we go again. It helps you. Your body is a lot smarter than your head, and so because your body is what's making things happen in this reality. And so you're living, you're doing with your body. And so so like this big decision of changing your career and the schooling, use your body to help guide you, because it's your body that is going to be going to work every day and doing whatever it is you're going to be doing and studying. And so get in touch with that sacral response, and really, if you get people to ask you yes, no questions. And so you can really get in touch with, should I take this class or this class or that class or that class, or should I take this job or not? I mean, and then because you have the emotional solar plexus as your primary authority, you need to take whatever it is you decided with your responses, and then wait and see how you feel. If that response is consistent over the period of your wave, a few days or a week or something like that, and then then you'll have a more clear guidance. You also have the channel that's very connected to the body, and so the 46 there, and so you've got extra, I guess you could say, extra connection to your body, and then you've got the splenic center to find. So you've got a lot of you've got like intuition there, that's going to come out and instantaneously gut response along with. So you've got a lot of ways to help you get clarity. So, but the first place is to start with the sacral, because that's the quickest and most visceral response, and then you have to wait for the emotions to make sure that it follows through. So
we appear to be having a theme.
Yeah, we do.
We will be getting this. We will learn this. Hi, Amber. Anita asks, I'm fairly new to human design, and before I ran my chart, I thought for sure I would be a projector, sensitive, empathic coach. But I'm a manifesting generator with the 3420. While I do relate to my type more and more as I learn about it, I wondered if you could shed some light on why I felt so projectorish and how I can step into more of my man-gen design.
Sure. Well, I think probably and possibly what's allowed, where you feel that you might have been a projector, because you do have a lot of empathetic ability, is around your gate 19, which is it's really about being attuned to others, really being able to feel the emotions of a room, being sensitive. You can be animal intuitive. You can really, it's a very intuitive gate where you really feel in tune to other people. So I think that possibly the gate 19 might have been that reason why you felt that you had that ability, or why you felt that you might have been resonating with being a projector. You've got a couple of other gates there as well. Gate 6 really penetrates other people's auras, which is a little bit like a projector. So that could also maybe be influencing you in thinking that you might have been a projector in the way that you interact with other people. How can you step more into being a man-gen? Really, it's using the gut response. I mean, I know I don't mean to sort of harp on about the same thing, but that's what's so important here, is just tuning in. Again, you've got the gate, the channel 3420. So respond straight away in the moment. You should really feel in your body a response. Go with that, hang into that, hold on to that, and really start to play with and really get familiar with the feeling of a guttural, what the guttural response is for you. Again, remembering it'll be quite quick, and you've also got the emotional solar plexus there, so you'll have a quick response, but you do sort of need to also try and wait over your emotional wave if you can. It's a little bit more tricky when you've got those two going on, but certainly see, are you still responding? Do you feel like something's a yes or a no for you over the course of your wave before you take on or respond to something?
Lots of 3420 manifesting generators sent those. That could be because, they're very quick at sending the questions and
Absolutely.
responding there. Elaine, Jill asks, what do I need to be doing to best follow my strategy to find meaning, purpose, and fulfillment? She's a 2-4 projector.
Okay. Well, first of all, as a 2-4 projector, you have to be called out. The 2 is the hermit. They kind of like to just stay home and do their own thing, but people will call you out. And that's part of the theme of a projector too, is a projector has to be called out. I guess when we're talking about the theme of waiting for an invitation, what it really means is the projector is being called out to share their wisdom. And they need other people to do that. So, rather than trying to struggle with trying to be out there or staying home and thinking that nobody loves you. I mean, I'm exaggerating, but just acknowledge the fact that you are designed to network with people. That's the four part of your profile, and you're also designed to be more introverted, more private, and then as a projector, you don't go out. I mean, you don't have the sustainable energy, so it's very easy for you to, stay home and take care of yourself. I'm using home as a general statement of staying, to yourself. You could be working and still stay to yourself. And then other people draw you out. So when you allow yourself to flow with this particular way that you're designed, then it will, you'll be automatically drawn to the right people who will support you in doing the things that are most purposeful and meaningful. And without seeing your chart, there's probably things in your chart that would emphasize where you might be more interested, or things that may affect you more than, or you might, that are factors in your chart. So, yeah.
So Elaine, as a projector,
Yeah.
and I've heard you say this, and Karen has said it, that you're still following, and you said, I think in the very first chart that you were going, you want to really work on your self-worth and your self-love. And if you're strong in that, then the people will be coming. Do you find it true that the people that are going to be giving you the invitations or recognizing you are kind of attracted to the energy of the correct people? I think Amber said that too about projectors. It might not necessarily be
there's a lot.
Everyone.
There's a lot that the projector has to learn because it depends on your conditioning and how you were raised and what your work environment and your adult life has been like. But projectors are kind of one of those groups of people that are misunderstood. And so because we're not like the generator, we're not the ever ready bunny and energizer bunny. And so, we judge ourselves, and so we lose our sense of self-worth, and we think, oh, well, we can't do that. We're not like them. We're not valuable and all that stuff. So yeah, Cindy, you're right. The best work we can do on ourselves is to develop a sense of meaning, is develop a sense of self-worth, and to see that we are unique, and to really step into that uniqueness, that we're different, and embrace that difference, because it's a beautiful thing. And so once we begin to understand that we are valuable and that we're worthy, and we love ourselves and we accept ourselves, and then people will notice that, and then they will easily pull you out. Want to have a bite of that.
Oh, well, thank you, Elaine.
Okay.
Amber, Carla says, how do I follow my strategy? That's a quick, easy question, maybe.
Yes, respond, manifesting generator. So when you respond, when you've got that guttural response to something, the first thing, once you've responded as yes, this is something I want to do, envisage what you want that to look like. So you've responded to, let's say, a job. And so envisage what you want that job to feel and look like and be like. And then you must inform anybody that needs to, anybody that's going to be impacted by your decision or the thing you're going to do before you actually take action to go and do that thing. So think about it like you've made the decision you want to get on a bus, and there's a bus going past and there's a sea of people in the way and you need to get on that bus. So rather than just see the bus, you've made the decision, you've responded, you've seen yourself in the bus, and then run for the bus, and you're going to be knocking lots of people out over the way. They're going to get in the way, they're going to hold you back because you're trying to get there the quickest way possible, is actually just to call out as you're coming through. I'm coming through, so that people can just step out of the way and let you get on the bus. So you're informing them that you're coming through. You're not asking permission. You're not asking them if you can or can't do something. You're just informing them that this is what you're doing and letting them get out of your way so that you can then take the action that you've made a response to do and to get into something, get on the bus in this instance. Does that make sense?
That made sense to me. Thank you. Just remembering the emotional solar plexus. Elaine, Sabrina asks, how do I work with my emotional authority? Suddenly I feel so dark inside, but I wonder why.
Well, that's a good question, Sabrina. So we've talked a lot about the emotional authority. The emotional authority is how something feels over time. So there will be times when you're feeling, maybe really optimistic and like you're on top of the world. And then, the next day, maybe, you'll be kind of like, well, why did I even think that was going to be fun? And, you'll have a little more pessimistic point of view of things. And so, and it goes in cycles. I imagine if you start paying attention to it, you'll see there's a cycle. There's a times, that you're really upbeat, and there's other times that you're more introspective and maybe a little more maybe pessimistic or just simply realistic, looking at things as from a more practical point of view. And so that's what this wave is that you have, that is part of the emotional authority. And so once you start recognizing that, and recognize too the fact that when you have the ups and the downs, it doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you. It's just how you are designed. And it's a natural part of your flow, of your energy. And when you are in the lower energy states, maybe you're tired or you don't feel like doing anything. That's a wonderful opportunity to go inside. It's like you have this opportunity to be out there, which is where you are kind of in a high energy, when you're high on the wave. And when you're down in the lower part of the wave, it's a time to come back in and review life. And because you've got the gates 55 and 30. So the gate 55 is more of an abundance and from a spiritual perspective, and the gate 30 is about desire. So it gives you an opportunity to go in and get deeper, connect more firmly with what is it that you really want, and what is it that's meaningful, and how can you be more in the community, or how can you make more of a difference. And then you come back out of the cycle and you'll be back up on top and you'll be doing your thing. And then so that's the cycle. So once you realize that this is a natural cycle for yourself, then you'll have a lot better handle on your emotional authority, and you won't be wondering why you have these down times, or you'll accept them. You'll turn them into a blessing.
Well, thank you, Elaine. Amber, Anna asks, I asked Karen this question after watching Healing the Generator Child. As a generator 3-5, I have a ton of creative ideas that I just sit on. Do I need to wait for a manifestor, reflector, or projector to come along and make these ideas a reality? I cannot fabricate fabricate without them. Karen responded, you're here to respond to the world around you. You don't need a specific type to initiate you. Can we dive deeper into that question or just talk about the waiting to respond? Because I feel there are two types of waiting to respond: waiting for the divine timing, the environment, and tapping into our intuition to wait to respond to our sacral and or our solar plexus.
Good question. All right, there's a few parts to that, but and I think Karen probably answered the first part, that obviously you don't need anybody else to bring things into a reality. You're responding to life. You're responding to anything and everything, people, situations, opportunities, just day-to-day things that come up. When we talk about the difference between, can you just scroll down a little bit? Just that, so I can see the two things that Anna was asking. Divine timing. So think of it like this: if you are tapping into your guttural response, so you're responding to things as they arise, as they show up for you. Is this something I want to do? Yes, no. You've got the emotional solar plexus to find, so you'll have to wait for those yes and no's responses over the course of your emotional wave, as we've discussed. When you're responding in the correct way to things, so you're entering them correctly, you're doing them as a response that you've taken to something, then that really is around divine timing popping up or coming up at the right time. Because what you'll find is when you do things in a response to something at the right time, everything seems to flow more. And so it's like divine timing, and life kind of takes us down the right path that's right for us. I think of it as if you just decided in your head, and you've got an open head as well, so there's a good chance you're thinking, oh, I want to go and I want to create an event, and you literally just go out there and start an event, create an event. You might find that because you've just responded, well, you haven't responded to anything, you've literally just gone out and done it because you've had this idea and gone to it. You might find that not many people kind of come to the event or are interested in the event as much as if you were waiting to something. You might have the idea about starting an event, but you wait, or someone comes to you and asks for an opportunity, or you should do this event, or here's this opening where this particular type of event is needed, and there's an opportunity there that you see that you can respond to, or you've responded to it rather than just something that's kind of popped up for you, and you've responded with your gut to a yes response over your emotional wave. You'll find that event will actually attract more people to it. You'll get the right people to it. It will flow in a way that is right for you, that feels better for you. And so I like to think, when you are responding to things, so you're not responding with your head, but you're responding in your gut over your emotional wave. That's when divine timing really plays out in its fullness, essentially, because you are then getting things that come to you in the right way. Hopefully I answered that question for you.
Well, thank you. I picked up my little bell. Annalisa, Elaine, does my chart lend itself to particular kinds of invitations? Or another way to ask the question, looking at my chart, what kind of offerings will I be likely to be invited to contribute?
Okay, Annalisa, that is a question that's actually a very deep question. It's not something that'll be simply answered because there's a lot of factors that go into who you are, and who you are is going to be the source of the invitations that you will receive. So, but I will just say in a very more general sense that as a projector, so in other words, the invitations you're going to receive are going to be how to use your talents, generally speaking. I mean, it's like, if you have a particular set of talents and somebody wants you for a particular job, or you have a particular set of talents and someone invites you to share your wisdom about something. that's kind of like the nature of the invitations, or maybe, you know, being in a certain relationship with a certain person, or an invitation to move to a certain place. And they all fit into your chart, because it's like you have an open, the open G center. So, you know, and location is going to be really important. And then, you know, the throat, you know, it's like going to be what you're going to talk about, or I should say, what you are going to channel, because with an open throat, you channel what other people say. So, you know, so, I mean, it's real. I mean, it's a question that you've asked that's probably beyond what it's going to take more than 3 minutes to answer. Let's put it that way.
It's a deep question.
Yes, it is. And, you know, and you know, and you take all the bits and pieces of you and put them together so that you know who you are. And then when you know who you are, then that's going to be the type of energy you're transmitting. And then that's the kind of energy you're going to be attracting. Was that your
Yes.
little thing?
That was my timer.
Okay.
But yes, when you
Okay.
know how you are, that's the type of offerings, or what she was at, or invitations she might be attracting, because that goes back to what you said about self-worth again.
Yeah.
Okay. Amber, Rosalind asks, as a generator and waiting to respond, what do I do with all the inspiration ideas that I have? Can I share ideas with others, i.e. content, without any need for recognition, but simply to share and express my ideas? Or is it best to just wait until there's something to respond to?
Okay, well, when it comes to ideas, because you've got an open head, part of you're going to have a lot of different ideas coming in and at you. When you're sharing ideas, what's really important, it's not about responding. It's actually about waiting for an invitation or to be recognized to share. So in other words, don't just, you have an idea and then blurt it out to the first person that you see, because when you just blurt it out and it's not the right time to share, people won't hear it the way that's intended, or they'll think you're a bit mad, or they'll think any number of things, but it won't be what you hoped to get from them when you shared that information. So when I say recognize, you might be officially, you know, someone might say, oh, share with us what you know about X or Y. Or you could be in a situation where you're paying attention, the conversation is flowing about something else, and you can sense when the timing is right that people are ready to listen, to share what you have to share with them. Or you might say something like, I've got some really great information about this. Would you like to hear it? Just blurting it out, as I said, doesn't end up or doesn't lead to what the outcome that you probably are hoping for when you share your ideas. And also you've got the channel 1156, so you are designed to share those wonderful ideas that you do get, and certainly some of them, but just make sure that you are recognized, not responding to something, but you're just being recognized to share, that people are ready and willing to listen. You're not just pushing those ideas onto people.
Well, ladies, we're actually in this. I'm going to leave it up to you. So I'm inviting Elaine, and I'm wondering whether we have a couple more charts that were submitted by email before the deadline. But we're at the 90 minutes, and I really want to, because we have two non-sacral specialists here, I want to make sure that your energy is doing well. Do you want to take the last couple of questions, or would you like to? We can wrap up now. I'm totally up to you two. Elaine, I'm wondering how you're feeling.
Well, I've just got 2 more to go, and so I guess, you know, we can do it.
So back to screen sharing. Elaine, Pooja says, what is the best way for me to expand my business while staying in alignment with my type and strategy?
Okay, that's a great question, Pooja. Without knowing the nature of your business, I'm just going to speak a little more generally to that. But the key thing to remember is that you have to manage your energy. And so you'll want to do things that will leverage your energy, and such as they call them evergreen, do things that you don't have to be physically present and engaging with people all the time, or do work with groups, do like retreats, or if you do work one-on-one with someone, charge enough so that you don't have to work all the time, where because what you've got to build into your schedule is critical, is you've got to build into your schedule time to rest, and time for yourself, and time to get away, be alone, so you can discharge the energy of all the people that you've been working with. And so it's real simple with business. If you're tired and burnt out, you won't get any business. If you're taking care of yourself and have a schedule where you're out there, and then you can retreat and recharge yourself, and then you can go back out. If you've got a rhythm where you are feeling like you are recharging your batteries so that you can go back out again, if you have a rhythm like that, then you will be able to build a sustainable energy, or build a sustainable business. And I would suggest that you charge a little bit more than the generator types do, just because of this whole sustainable. It's like, you can only do one, we'll say if you're doing readings, you can only do one reading where they can do, 2 or 3. So you've got to work that whole thing out. And if you have someone else supporting you while you go do your business, that's really nice. So
Thank you, Elaine. Amber, Kate is asking, I would love some tips on how to become more attuned to my sacral response in the moment. I love the relief of waiting before making decisions. This works for me every time, but I'm less sensitive to my sacral response as it arises. I'm afraid I've overridden its signals for so long as I've followed other people's agendas in my life rather than attuned to my own.
Great. Yes. Well, it's great that you know that waiting, and might be naturally that you're waiting over your wave to make those decisions, and maybe you're making the right decisions because you're giving yourself that opportunity to wait through the wave. But really it comes down to tuning into a body response, as we've said before today, and trying to get out of your head. And so what I would suggest is, with that gut response, start small. Start with small things. When you go into the kitchen in the morning, do I want a cup of coffee? Do I want a cup of tea? Just ask yourself. You can speak out loud if you want. Even, as long as nobody thinks you're a bit crazy, let people know that you're practicing. Speak out loud to yourself and respond, or get someone to ask you questions, and just try and see if you can, after a while, get to feel what that feels like by practicing responding with the sacral. And again, not going into the head response, not letting yourself overthink something, but what does it feel like in the moment? Again, in the body, because you've got the gate 46. How does it feel? You should really feel it in your body there. So, and really try and tune in, and it might just take you some practice when you first start to differentiate them, what the difference is between a gut response and a response that's not coming from that right place. Practice small, get someone to ask you questions, and try the gut response and see how that works for you, and then build up from there to bigger decisions, I think. Cindy, as a generator type yourself, would you have any other suggestions there?
Oh no, I think those are great suggestions. You need to build up the so that you learn to trust your sacral. And if you've been, what she said, if you've been bypassing it and following other people's agendas, then you want to separate yourself and what you said, the little ones, like the cup of tea, the cup of coffee, what clothes you're going to wear. You can go through your closet and you can say, until you get to the and then that's one way to do it. But
in the body,
yeah, you'll start to feel it. You'll start to really feel when you're actually in the body. Elaine, Alena says, I'm trying to figure out the best strategy to live and succeed. So my question, how to find enough time to fulfill all my dreams and still maintain the main job, professor at a university, to be the provider for my family. My dream is to be a composer and songwriter, but in real life, I have to do lots of administration, housekeeping, and all other things that don't leave room for me to pursue my creative endeavors.
Yes, Alina, I understand that totally. About putting off your dreams because you've got to do work and bring in, support yourself. So my invitation to you is to to really sit down with yourself. Maybe you need to get some alone time, take some time away from your family. I mean, and all the responsibilities that you've taken on, and really sit down and have a real heart-to-heart talk with you, and listen to your body and listen to and your intuition. You've got intuition in your chart in several places. Listen to it and try to find out what is the most important things. Perhaps you can get some of the members of your family to help with the housekeeping chores, or maybe you can arrange your life in some way, and you'll need to respond to, once you come up with these ideas, you'll need to look for a way, for situations, or bring them up and talk with people and listen, and then see how it responds with you. But the key to being able to pursue your creative endeavors is you have to make time for it. And it won't happen unless you do that. And so you've got the quite a bit of the centering circuit in there, which is all about self-care and taking care of yourself and putting yourself as number one. And I would very gently like to suggest that maybe, you have to step back and take a look at how you can put yourself as number one. And then once you come up with these ideas, because you're picking up everybody else's ideas and their feelings and everything. So it's really hard to know yourself when you're picking up everything from everyone else. But once you know these things about yourself and what you really want, then you can look for ways for things to respond to in your outer world that will help you, lead you, so that you can actually fulfill what you desire to do.
We did it. We did it.
Yeah.
We made it through all the questions and just a little bit over time. I want to thank Elaine and Amber for making the time. They're both of our human design specialists, and they both mentioned Elaine's a projector. Amber is one of our reflectors. No reflector questions. Now we'll just have a ton when they come with centers next time. We are doing, because we have such amazing specialists, we actually have 3 more Chart-o-thon calls where each time it'll be a different topic. And so wait for the email that's going to come. You have to, or see the announcement on the Facebook page, and then we'll take questions so that we can have the charts and the questions ready for our specialists. In the replay, we'll both have both Elaine and Amber take clients. We'll do wonderful one-on-one work with you. And interesting that Amber is in Australia, correct?
Oh, okay.
And so we have human design specialists that can cover all time zones. And Amber, we do have, I know that Elaine did a quantum alignment show earlier, and she mentioned that she does have a vendor store on our human design store.com, which is for our human design conference that's upcoming, September 11th and 12th, I think. But we'll have all this information and how to connect with both Amber and Elaine on the replay. And Deborah saying, great job, Elaine, Amber. Yay, we made it through. I'll give you 30 seconds if you'd like to wrap us up. Elaine, do you want to go first?
Sure.
Do you have anything to add?
Well, thanks so much for hosting this and being our coordinator.
Well, you're welcome. And
And
Amber?
And I was just going to say, I know that there's some questions there, but I'm no doubt we'll be able to get to them at some point through some of the Chart-o-thons. So thank you for all your wonderful questions and your feedback, and Cindy for hosting today and working with Elaine. It's always lovely.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. And like I said, in tomorrow's update, we'll have more information about when the next Chart-o-thon is going to be. Thank you, everybody. Bye.